welcome to my studio. I'm Terry McFeely and I'm going to be showing you how to wrap a rose. Rose is very similar to the wrapping video that I've already done, but there are so many layers. I've had a couple of requests for people to show you how to do multiple layers by stacking the stitches. So here we go. I pre-made the stem in the stem and wire wrapping video. I'm going to bend both the stem and the bud down, and I will begin with the first piece. I'm going to be using a hot glue gun, and I am going to just put a dab of glue so that I can start the wrapping. I'm going to wrap this over the top and then continue a bead of glue. And then just wrap around. That gives you the bud center. It's pretty realistic looking. Looks like I could use a little more glue right here. But you want the wrap to be tight. All right, on to the next layer. All the petals, I normally have you do 2 just to give really a lot of fullness. After doing a few roses, you may decide that you don't want it to be so full. I'm just going to let you make that decision on your own. I do it different all the time. This is a medium-sized rose, so there are 2 more petals that we will not be doing for the extra large rose because it's just more of the same. Well, my scissors. I'm going to do 2 at a time. The pattern specifies the width or the length that you need to gather to. And for this row, it's probably about 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to grab my pattern. So we've gathered the petal to a length that's about 1 inch, as specified in the pattern. I'm going to put a squiggle bead of glue along the gather stitching and lay the bud right on top and then press it with both hands using my fingers. All right, here's the second. And I'm going to put a bead of glue. And when I lay the bud on top of this row of petals, there's a split here, and I'm going to center that on the center of the next petal so that they alternate and you get a really nice full bud. Now I'm going to gather the next 2 layers to 2 inches. Nice little marker here for me to use on my desktop. I'm going to pull the top thread to lock it. Snip it. And do the same on the second row of petals, the same size. To 2 inches. I'm going to show you another technique of gluing. I always use a squiggle bead on top of the base stitching, but this might be easier as you get more and more layers. I'm going to put a little dab of glue, squiggle bead, at the very center only. And then I'm going to find a space, lay the bud on top of that, and kind of hold it down a minute. And then I can just put a squiggle bead of glue. I'm going to grab some more. Here. On this side, which will allow me to wrap towards the center, making sure that I'm alternating spaces with petals. And I'll do the same on the other side. This allows you to stack pretty easily, as you can see. You don't want to continue to put your petals lower and lower on the stem. You really do need to keep them stacked. And it will get quite wide, and that's why I'm doing this entire video, to show you that it's still very easy to do. So now we're going to be on our last two petals. And we are going to gather them to about 2.5 inches. The petals should only wrap around the flower bud, or what we've done with the flower so far, once. I mean, if it overlaps a little, that's okay, but you can kind of scrunch it to keep it so that it's pretty much a single layer. And we'll gather this to 2.5 inches. So again, I'm just going to put a squiggle bead in the center. Find a seam or a split and put that down on the center of a petal. And hold it. Add a little glue to this side. That my thread broke, so I might have to switch it a little. There you go. I'll do the other side. And bring it up to meet. So you can see the flower is getting really nice and full. All right. Again, in the center, find the seam or the split. Grab one side, the other side. Just hold it nice and tight. We'll fluff the flower after it's made. All right. Now this is the sash wrap, and I'm going to do it in a very similar fashion. I'm going to put some glue in the very center, place the flower on top of that, hold it down, make sure you've allowed enough of the sash to be below the flower so that the flower doesn't pop out of the end. So I've glued one side. I'm going to wrap it tightly towards the center, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side and overlap it slightly like that. So there's your wrapped flower. There's a little bit of a space in here. You can just add a little glue and press it down. But it shouldn't show too much once we open the flower up. So now you have your rose all wrapped, and this is where the fun part is. I have a 1/2 inch curling iron. It might be 3/8, but a small curling iron set on a pretty high setting. And I start with the outer petals and I clamp on and I roll back. Clamp on, roll back. Pull any existing glue strings off as you're going. You will find them. This little petal got bent, so just try to pull it out and mold it back and then curl it. And you just keep curling each layer back. Again, here's a petal that kind of got scrunched. Just pull it out and then curl it. And continue to do this with all your layers. Okay, we're at the end now. Once you've determined you've curled it the way you want it, go ahead and bend your bud and your leaf up. Kind of clean up any little strings you might see. And there's your finished flower. I think you'll find that roses are much easier than they look. They are beautiful. They're great for home decor. I've worn them in my hair. I've worn them on brooches. They're just really fun, so enjoy.